Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for this morning's daily news, which is covering Eddie Howe's press conference, which he has just given earlier on this morning. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. If you do enjoy the show today, don't forget to give it the thumbs up. And, of course, if you're new to the channel, please do click bottom right-hand corner, click the logo, click subscribe, and come and be part of this incredible community as we head towards 27,000 subscribers. You can become a member of the Toon Review as well by hitting the join button just underneath myself. And, of course, you can donate as well to the channel if you do so wish this morning by hitting that $sign just underneath the live comments, and that will guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. It's an interesting one this morning, guys. I have to say there is a lot of fan reaction to Eddie's press conference this morning. A lot of anger, a lot of disappointment, and a lot of frustration, I think is fair. Certainly from myself, from my point of view, I am extremely frustrated with what's going on at Newcastle United. It's a bit of a pain in the arse. We are hampered so much by FFP. This FFP is ridiculous. It is there for the elite sides. It is there for the cartel. There is no doubt in my mind that we are now hampered by this, and we can't bring in the players that we want because of FFP. And we need players. We are in a situation now where we need players. The injury updates are pretty much shocking. A shocking update from Eddie Howe this morning on various players who we expected to see back soon. Ain't happening, folks. It just ain't happening. First of all, what he said was, we've had a good week, a good training week. We've enjoyed being back on the grass, a first full week in a long time, and hopefully the players enjoyed it too. We are ready to go. So, he's talking pretty confidently there about being ready to go, etc. However, we know they're ready to go, but we are hampered badly by injuries. And one player that we are going to seriously miss tomorrow is Joe Linton. And the injury update on Joe Linton is, well, shite. That's the only way of putting it. Once again, we are hit by a serious injury. Eddie spoke about Big Joe. What he had to say was it isn't good. It is an injury that will see him miss a minimum of 6 weeks. Minimum. It's a real blow for us. He is such an important player. He has a problem with his tendon in his quad. He is very disappointed. He wants to play and do well. We have to try and pick him up. He is our midfield driving force. It's a big blow. Look, guys, enough's enough. Just end the season now for me. For Christ's sake, end the season. What is going on? I mean, I've been, tweeting Danielle. I see Danielle's been in the chat this morning as well, and talking about this. And you couldn't write a script. You could not write a script at the start of the season to say all this would be going on. And the fact that we're going to be missing Joe Willock, he's not back now for a while. Anderson won't be back for a while. Who else is there? Harvey Barnes is still God knows where. It's not good enough, guys, and I don't know what is going on. But I'm seeing a lot of reaction from the fans this morning saying, look, we can't do anything. We can't replace these players. He spoke about the links to Solanke, and he said we haven't made a formal approach. However, we can't afford him. We can't afford Dominic Solanke. So what is the point? What is the point of anyone trying to compete in this league when the cartel just run it and it favors them? Nobody can approach them or try and get past them. It is the cartel in this Premier League or it is nobody. Simple as that. There is nobody can come through and compete in the Premier League bar the cartel, because FFP has been set up simply to accommodate them. And now it's extremely frustrating. And look, we've been wanting a lot of questions to be asked to Eddie Howe in press conferences, over time, when we haven't seen the real questions aimed at Eddie and forcing him to answer. Today was a little bit different because I think Eddie is extremely frustrated as well. You got that feel that Eddie's pissed off. So if Eddie's pissed off, the rest of the owners in Newcastle United are going to be extremely pissed off because they want to win, right? We are winners. We have owners who are winners, who are business giants, who accept nothing but first place. They do not accept second best. And we aren't able to progress this football club because the cartel are running the show. And as long as they run the show, nothing else will happen. It's got to change, and I don't know whether the rest of the Premier League or whoever it is, we now start to get legal advice about FFP, because is this really fair? I don't think it's really fair. But I mean, Foxy's saying here, I don't really want to hear about FFP excuses when we have spent heavy on Tonali, Barnes, Isak, Hall deal. If we are in a position where we have to sell, then this is on Ashworth, who's been overhyped a lot. Foxy, I understand that, mate, and I do get what you're saying, 100%. And I pick up by that, comment that you're very frustrated as well, mate. There's no doubt about that, and fair enough to you. But it is part of FFP as well. Let's be honest. I think, when you look at those players, Tonali, who knew what was going to happen with him? Barnes is a good signing. Isak's a good signing, etc. They are good signings. Looking back to what Darren Neils had to say yesterday, it's clear that we are going to have to sell one of our big stars in order to make some money here. Because if we don't, we're in the shit, guys. Well and truly in the shit to sign players. It ain't going to happen unless we make money. And we are going to have to we're going to have to sell one of the big names at the club without a shadow of a doubt. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be in January, by the way. You're probably looking at the summer. But it's shit. It's shit the position Newcastle United are in. And other clubs, it's not just Newcastle here. So I'm not just sort of, for all those other fans watching, you think, oh, Newcastle fans just moaning again. I'm talking about the rest of the Premier League here, not just the who are governed by the cartel. And this has been going on for way too long now, and it needs to stop. It really does. But we're going to have to sell somebody, guys. It's as simple as that. Everybody realizes that now, and I think that's what the anger and frustration is with Newcastle United across social media, etc. this morning amongst the fans. We are very, very frustrated that we are sort of hamstrung by this ridiculous FFP system, which needs looking at. I'm not saying FFP is a bad thing, completely bad thing. I understand, why FFP came in. But like VAR, it's not working properly and needs a change. Otherwise, what's the point of people taking over football clubs with an ambition to win, an ambition to do well, when they can't do a thing? They can't do anything, guys. What's the point? Mick says, well, the rest are all laughing at us. They've got what they want this season as a write-off, and I'm expecting a tanking of Man City. Sorry. Slothy says, just break the rules and take the 10-point deduction at this point. We'll lose more than 10 points with these injuries. The situation is bad, says Barry. But it just delays our rise. Don't worry, lads. We are coming. Yeah, but I know what you're saying, Barry. Eventually we will get there because we will start bringing in the revenue with sponsorships and things like that. But there's revenue in football as well through, the likes of the Champions League. And, we've experienced the Champions League once this season. But when are we going to get there again if we can't replace or bring in players to cover our injuries? I mean, it's just nonsensical to me. It doesn't work, and it's there for one reason, to look after the big six. In what other line of work could you buy a business and not be allowed to put your own money into it? Exactly, Andrew. Exactly. And I think that's, again, I'll reiterate, this isn't just the Newcastle owners who will be frustrated by this. It will be a lot of football club owners and potential football club owners who are looking at buying into the not just the cartel, but the other teams in the Premier League. Owners who would, decent owners. I'm not saying every owner that comes into a football club is decent, because we've quite frankly seen that they're not. But my God, I mean, it's just, the frustration is growing and growing now. It really is. Rani Granny says there, if you own a business, you should be able to invest in it. 100%. I think we now need to go down the legal route, says Rufiad Bernisian, to see if this is a restrictive practice. Yes, protect clubs from going bust, but there are other ways to do it apart from FFP. 100%. There has to be another way. And that's what I'm saying. It needs looking at again. Because, when Eddie's mentioned that about Joe Linton being out for a minimum of 6 weeks, okay, minimum. So he's not going to be back till, what, you're talking March, possibly April, right? The season is coming to a close. But we now are in a transfer window where you think you'd be able to go out and replace that player. But we can't. And Eddie said it this morning. We can't. We can't afford it. I never thought I'd hear those words come out of somebody at Newcastle since the takeover, saying we can't afford it. But that's the way FFP is working right now. Danielle says we will need to sell someone. It's the only way, as much as I hate it. Exactly. FFP restrictions are also increasing each year for the next 2 years. Great point. They're only going to get tighter for the next 2 years. It's like a noose around some clubs' necks at the minute. I mean, it doesn't make sense that you cannot go out and do something with the company that you've bought. You're buying that company because you want to invest in it, right? Whether it be football or any other business, you are wanting to invest in that particular thing that you've just bought, but you can't because you're hampered by FFP. It's ridiculous. Norvik says the one thing with the takeover that I really thought would improve would be that the medical care would be the absolute best, but we seem to be using Primark rejects. Look, I think that's got to be addressed, Norvik, in the summer as well. Why are we getting so many injuries? What is going on? Are the medical staff good enough for what we require now at the football club? Who knows? I can't comment on the medical staff. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it's really, really pissing me off now. The whole injury circus that it's been this season, and also these FFP restrictions, because we as Newcastle United fans, since the takeover, we look forward to the transfer windows, haven't we? We've really looked forward to them, only to be shot down on numerous occasions, saying we can't do this, we can't do that. And those three letters, FFP, always pipe the sodden way up the ladder, don't they? Right to the top. And it restricts us for everything. And it's bollocks, man. It really is. It's bollocks. Why a big name? Wilson, Miggy, Longstaff? Because we've got to make money. How much are we going to get realistically for Wilson? Or, Miggy, who hasn't played very well? Longstaff, bang out of form. How much are we going to get for Sean? Come on, guys. It's plain obvious we're going to have to sell in an asset in order to make money. We have to sell one of the big players to bring money to the club. And once we've brought the money in, it's how you use that money to strengthen again. It's so annoying, man. It wasn't Ashworth's job to find cheap talent from across Europe, so where are they? Dom says we're in the same position in these transfer windows like all the years with Fat Cashley. It does seem like that, doesn't it? Because we can't spend. It's really annoying. Barth says it's everything. Yes, Paul. Effing sick of it. Playing games with fans' heads. Why can't we just sell Miggy or something and save our money till we have enough for a better player or buy young talent? I mean, young talent, yes, by all means, and look across Europe and the rest of the world for young talent. But what we need at the club right now is players to come in who are ready to go in the Premier League. Let's be honest. These players are falling like trees at the minute. Getting injured, and not just injured for a game or two. They're out for weeks on end. And that is the annoying thing. And we need players who are going to come in and be ready to go straight away. Otherwise, this season is just going to filter out to nothing. Because we won't have the squad available that can win the games. We're going to be relying on players from Ashley era, to get us through the rest of the season. And who would have thought of that? Who would have thought that would be the case? Slothy Vlog says Ashworth ain't doing his job, seeing no sign of cheap foreign youngsters coming in like Brighton. Geordie Ricks is more than everyone missed the start, watching from the start. Now, Paul, you okay, mate? You look poorly, lad. I look poorly? Matey, I'm fine. I'm okay. A little bit tired, but having Parkinson's, I don't think I'll ever look 100% healthy, mate, but I'm okay this morning, thanks. FFP is destroying smaller clubs. Alien said, Howe should not have given Richie and Byrne new contracts. We need to lose our bad players, not our good ones. Look, I don't agree with you saying bad players. I think older players. I think that's a better way of putting it. Older players probably need to be moved on instead of being offered new contracts. But then again, we see there, once the players have gone, who are we bringing in? I just don't know. Check what LB, the City fan, said about FFP Unloaded, Paul. You might be surprised. I've watched it. In my view, FFP is restrictive practice. And last time I looked, restrictive practice is illegal. Does that make FFP illegal? Look, I don't think it's illegal by any stretch of the imagination. What I do think is that the agenda of FFP suits certain clubs, and we all know who those clubs are, and that isn't going to change. Unfortunately, until I think the other teams in the Premier League get their heads together and think, right, we have to challenge this. We have to find out a different way. Yes, it's a good idea to stop clubs going bust. I absolutely agree with that. We've seen too many clubs fall by the wayside in recent years. But I mean, it doesn't work. Media helping the cartel as always. Cartel clubs want Bruno and Isak and hope to unsettle them at Newcastle. Yeah, nothing will change with that. Now, what Eddie Howe did mention Fabian Schär's new deal, which of course was a brief bit of good news during the week, wasn't it? Eddie said he's very confident without being arrogant. He believes in himself. He is the same as a person. He is a great guy, and I have built a great relationship with him. He is very intelligent, and I think his intelligence comes across on the pitch. He makes very good decisions. He is technically outstanding. Fabian deserves this new deal, and hopefully it's the start of another good period for him. Look, Fabian Schär is great news. Absolutely great news coming through at the club, because we need some of that. And I think as time went on in January, he thought his contract ends at the end of the season. Is he going to be interested in maybe talking to other clubs? That doesn't seem to have been the case. So obviously we've got an extension on his deal till the end of the 24-25 season. Ian says, for those saying break the rules, I guarantee if we do that, we will get more than a 10-point deduction. Remember, they hate us. Absolutely, Ian. And I've said all along, we have to, whatever we think of FFP, we have to keep our noses clean, because if we don't, we're screwed, because they are just waiting. You just know that those lot are just waiting to pounce on Newcastle United. Whatever we say, they are ready to jump on us. Ground sponsor, training ground sponsor, training gear sponsor. Fez says, well, I don't enjoy FFP in how it is implemented right now. We need to look at the club and why the F did we overspend on unneeded players like Harvey Barnes and Tonali, who we bought because Barella didn't work. Again, Fez very, very frustrated as a Newcastle United fan, and rightly so. It is very frustrating. The Tonali issue, I think, has really come back to bite them in the arse. 100% bite them in the arse. I still, the whole Tonali situation, I still feel very, very sick about, to be honest, because we've been denied a player who would have been playing a lot of games this season. And hopefully we would have saw the best. Tonali is a fantastic footballer. We clearly ain't seen the best of him from the early part of the season. He's still got a lot more to give, but he won't be able to give that until next season now. So he would have played more games. I think certainly Miley and Longstaff wouldn't have played as many times as they are now. They would have been rotated as well. So because of our restrictions, we can't do nothing. Danielle says, yeah, if we break FFP, will throw us out the league. They are waiting for an excuse to do it. Let's be honest. Alex says, hate to say this, but we may as well still have Ashley in charge. I'm not sure about that, mate. No. Look, what there is at the club right now is ambition. Okay, there's ambition at the football club, and that's what we need. We need ambition. Progression, however, is going to be extremely slow because of the restrictions. That's clear as day. But what we do have is owners who are very, very ambitious. And that still fills me with confidence that, yes, we are going to get there eventually, but it is going to take a very, very long time for that to happen because of FFP. Ollie says, I agree with you, Paul. The likes of Miggy, Longstaff and Wilson will have to go in the summer when we can still get an all right price for them. Again, Dom says, feels like Cashley error with transfers. Shocking. We've got no squad at the moment. Davey says, how long are we going to be hamstrung by FFP? Well, like we've said, the next 2 years there's even more tighter restrictions. So I can't see that happening anytime soon, mate, to be honest. Billy F says the top brass knew we had a problem with FFP when they first came in, hence the 5 to 10 year plan. Ian says we need more ideas to bring money into the club. Can we license a soft drink, aka Prime, get celebrity YouTuber endorsement and push it through supermarkets, Costco, etc.? I agree with that, Ian. But again, I'm sure that the people, the people, the financial people, etc., at the football club will be doing everything they can to keep the revenue coming in. I'm under no doubt about that. I'm not having to go at our football club here because it's nothing to do with the football club itself. This is FFP. Yes, the injuries, etc., they have something to do with the football club, and I'm sure will be looked at. Absolutely, 100% they will. And I think that needs looking at sooner rather than later. But I think it'll be more than likely looked at in the summer. But with FFP, the financial people at the club, the people that they brought in, they will be looking desperately for people for revenue for the club to come in from somewhere. It has to come from somewhere. But it ain't going to happen very quickly. Ticket prices should come down then if our team isn't improving. That's a whole different kettle of fish, that. Kevin says, just to give a bit of balance, if we had no injuries in a full squad, we wouldn't be complaining about FFP. We're a frustrated bunch of dudes because of the restrictions due to the circumstances. Kevin, it's not a bad point, actually. Because if we did have a full squad available without the injuries, I think we'd all be in a very, very different place right now. We certainly wouldn't be where we are in the league. We'd be higher up in the league. I believe that we would be having a very successful season right now, but that's not the case. And again, this isn't just about Newcastle United. If any other team away from the cartel is struggling with injuries and want to try and replace players, they can't do it because of the restrictions as well. So it's not just our club that's in this situation. So we have to make a strong point of that. Very frustrated in the last 24 hours with DE's press conference with Eddie Howe presser this morning. At this point, PSG pay Bruno release clause would be horrible to use him, but this is bad. We should just spend what we want and hand some brown envelopes to the FA. I'm sure that's gone on in the past. I'm pretty sure it has, but I think the FA and the Premier League themselves will be under very tight scrutiny with all the rules that they've basically implemented to hamper us. Now, Eddie did mention the game against Man City as well. He says they are a team to beat. Their record in recent seasons has been incredible. They have the best manager in the world. Their style of play is difficult to combat, but I believe we can really compete in this game. I believe we'll compete if we come out with the right attitude. What I don't believe in is the fact that we'll get anything from this game. I think a lot of Newcastle United fans now are pretty down after hearing the press conference, certainly from what Darren Neal's had to say yesterday into Eddie's press conference this morning. This game against City is going to be an uphill battle from the start because if he sticks with the 4-3-3, I worry about the midfield, and we spoke about that on the preview show last night. I really do worry. I'd love to get your comments later on when we do Face the Lads, which is tonight again at 7 o'clock, guys. Get yourselves on. You don't have to have a camera. As long as you have a working microphone and you can speak to us, then join us live on the show for a couple of minutes each and let us know how you're feeling about the whole thing, because I think it's going to be quite a lively show tonight with what's been said in the press conference this morning and following on from Darren Neal's interview yesterday. Man City are, like Eddie says there, they've been incredible, and they always get going in the second half of the season after Christmas. And, it's very hard to see how we get anything out of the game tomorrow, apart from we have to match them with grit and determination. And I don't want to see us sit back, park the bus, etc. Yes, give it a go. But the midfield, I have to be honest, guys, it worries me. And I think it worries a lot of people, how we line up tomorrow. Foxy says the players I mentioned wasn't in any way to criticize them, as they are good, but we mostly overpaying on players where other clubs are bringing in bargains left, right, and centre. Solanke link sums us up 100%, mate. FFP can be questioned, absolutely, but in terms for us, it's not like we didn't know this was going to happen at some point. I agree to a point, Foxy, but you've got to. listen, nobody could have foreseen this injury crisis that we have at this club this season. Nobody could have seen the amount of players going down. Yes, everyone gets injuries throughout the season. Everyone picks niggles up. But every injury we seem to pick up is long-term. There's never just somebody missing the game or two. Fabian Schär maybe being the exception in recent times when he's come back. However, most of the players that have gone down with injuries this season are gone for weeks on end and sometimes disappear off the face of the earth. Harvey Barnes, Elliot Anderson, Joe Willock. It's mental. Absolutely mental. Sue says, well, wait, those deadwoods whose contracts are expiring soon, release them all. Then we can talk again about who to buy. Giving them all the long-term contracts is the reason we can't buy now. Facts. Sean says we have Target, Dummett, Dubs, Hayden, Fraser, Longstaff, Miggy, Carrius, Ritchie. We could all sell or at least get rid of, and Mankio. Jeff Hendrick added to that as well. It's crazy. It's the big six are the ones running the Premier League, so other clubs can't catch up with their monopoly. Buy whoever they want for me. You can't argue with that. You can't argue because it's right there in front of you. If nobody can see that this is for the cartel, then you may as well not be interested in football because it's right there staring you right in the face. Fez says whoever brought up Ashworth made a great point. This guy hasn't made a single bargain signing yet. We've overpaid massively for everyone. Interesting. I mean, look, I don't think we overpaid for Botman. I think Botman, given the money we've paid for him, I think he's worth a hell of a lot more money than what we paid for him. Isak, I mean, he hasn't been here long enough really for me yet to judge him on a £60 million fee. Barnes for me was expensive, I have to say. Anthony Gordon, 40 million for him. I think that's probably about right. But we'll see. It depends who brings who we bring in, if we bring in anybody at all. But are we looking at loan deals now and only loan deals for January? But then again, Man City wanted £5 million loan fee for Calvin Phillips, and we said we couldn't pay that. So that to me rings alarm bells straight away. 80s Gamers says, can see PIF selling us for a top 4 side if this bollocks keeps happening, as they will become frustrated with the FFP rules. Yes, but they have very strong lawyers who I think will challenge this FFP at some point. And hopefully, what I'd like to see is some of the other clubs in the Premier League get together and actually fight this now, because it's not working. It's clearly not working. It's for them and only them. Wagner says we have to bring a midfielder in no matter what. Corma says agree about that Ashworth point. Not saying he's bad at his job, but he wasn't behind Brighton's transfers. They continue to bring in cheap talent. Look, I mean, Dan Ashworth will have to answer questions if we don't get if we struggle. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I think it was this summer gone that we did a lot of investment in the academy. We brought lots of youngsters in, and the academy's still struggling. So are they good enough to be coming through to the first team? When we've been talking about the likes of Parkinson and why Eddie hasn't been bringing him on when we had the injury crisis. And a lot of people made the point that he's not good enough. He's not ready. It's just a case of filling the bench. But we did invest a lot of money in some talented youngsters in the summer, and it's not happening. Rachel says we don't want to lose the good players. That's why I'm worried about losing Bruno in the summer. Well, I think it's inevitable. I really do. I think it's inevitable that we are going to lose these players. At least one of the big, one of the big players we've got are going to leave the football club, and I think it's just we have to as fans have to deal with that. Irani Granny says we don't know where we are legally with Tonali yet. We all know Milan knew, hence the fire sale. I agree. I think there's still a lot more to come out about that, to be honest. Mike says, yes, FFP and other clubs are waiting on us making a mistake, so we get hammered by the Premier League and others. 8-year deals have been banned recently, max of 5 years. Indeed. Too late for us, though, isn't it? To coin a phrase, says next season will be class. It'll be like having 12 new signings with all the squad back. Yeah, I mean, look, some of them have disappeared. Danielle says it's Newcastle United against everyone else as per usual. Exactly, Danielle. It's and a lot of what I found is, reading through social media and things like that, is a lot of, clubs who are probably in the same situation as us, hampered by FFP, trying to have a sort of a laugh at Newcastle when they're in exactly the same situation. The likes of Everton, who are fighting relegation this season, they've already been done once by FFP, so they are now in a position where they have to be very, very careful about what they do. There may be further sanctions on Everton to come, but they're going to have to be very, very careful about what they do in the future. So they are hampered by it. So, other fans laughing at us when they're in the same situation it clearly shows you that they know nothing. Darren says, get a couple of loan players from Saudi Pro League till the end of the season to help us. Maybe Neves and Mitrovic. I did that video yesterday, about the Chronicle made a report about 5 possibilities that could possibly come into Newcastle and do a job. However, I think Darren Neal's interview really poo-pooed most of that anyway. It's a huge worry. Jay Devlin says, I don't think Howe likes loans as it makes it harder to build a squad chemistry over a long term. Yeah, and again, we know that Eddie Howe is very, very big on squad chemistry, and if he's not getting that chemistry, it doesn't work. It all falls apart a little bit. I think, Jay Devlin's right there. It is very, very important to have that chemistry that Eddie believes in. And if he's getting loan players in who just come through the door for a short period of time, then things change. That chemistry kind of disappears slightly. It's not the same. I do believe absolutely that we have to look at the loan market in Saudi. We have to. We have no other choice here. And what benefits us is the fact that PIF own the big teams in Saudi. Therefore, I'm sure. I know people are talking about that they're in their season at the minute, and players won't want to lose their players. But I think when you're owned by PIF will look at the situation. They'll look at the situation that Newcastle United are in, and they'll look at doing something about it. That's just my personal opinion. Whether it happens or not is a completely different kettle of fish. Joe Linton, 6 weeks out, most likely looking at 12 to 16 weeks based on recent injury timescales. Absolutely farcical. Why did Joe Linton come out after halftime last weekend? We've seen it before. Where players have reappeared. We saw it with Anthony Gordon at Chelsea. He should never have come out for the second half because he clearly wasn't fit, but he did. Sven Botman playing games with an ACL injury. There is questions to answer there without a shadow of a doubt. I think one thing that the hierarchy at Newcastle have to do at the end of this current season is look back and say, right, let's really investigate what went on here, because clearly something isn't right. Clearly something isn't working, and we need to fix it. So aside from FFP, something does need to happen. Something they do need to work on something and really put it right, because we can't go through this season after season. Gene Fletcher says, Man City fan here. FFP is to keep the likes of United, Liverpool at the top. It's disgusting our owners can't spend their own money on our clubs and allow Man United to be £600 million in debt. Look, Man City, obviously before FFP came in, I think they managed to build and build well. I think Man City are certainly, where Newcastle want to be. Very, very similar ambitious owners now. But I really do believe that the teams behind this FFP are Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Tottenham. I believe those 4 teams, maybe Arsenal, but certainly the 4 I mentioned there are the main contributors to getting this FFP system in place, and it's sickening. And you're right, Man United, 600 million in debt, all over the shop with the Glazers. But no, that's fine. No problem at all. It's ridiculous, and you can see, and Gene's right there. What's going on at other clubs. You have to look at and say, well, how are they doing that? Julie says, same here. I don't always agree with him, but that was certainly a good suggestion and would have helped the club immensely if that was allowed to happen. Not sure what's been said there. Ian says, I think instead of FFP, each club owner should put a bond held by the Premier League so they get the interest. The owners decide the amount of bond and they are allowed to spend up to the level of that. Stuart says, great show, or as always, good insights into a bad situation. Indeed. Thank you very much. Dorch Max says, hope the club are ruthless in the summer with more peripheral players. No room for sentimentality. Reset needed. And I agree with that. Sentimentality now, with the situation that Newcastle United Football Club are in with regards to FFP, we have to be throwing sentimentality out the window. It is now where we have to become ruthless. It's clear. You know, I'm not sitting here saying that's a good thing or it's a bad thing. I'm just saying what I think. And I think we have to now be ruthless. We have to cut ties with certain players who've been here a long time, but have come to that point in where they can't offer the club anymore to be that elite side. Things have got to change there. We've got to be more, ruthless with these players and say, look, thank you for what you've done. We really appreciate it. The fans really appreciate it, but it is now time to move you on. Rather than say, oh, well, they've done well, so let's give them a year or let's give them a new 2-year contract. There's no point. And if we still do that, then serious questions have to be asked. Serious questions do. No doubt in my mind. Davey says, I'm still scratching my head as to why we bought Harvey Barnes. We have Gordon, Willock, Big Joe, and even Isak play top left. Paul Graham says, remember when Klopp said we had no ceiling on spending? What a load of crap. Yeah, because, Klopp made all that rigmarole about Newcastle United being able to spend here, spend there. And he knew fine well what the situation was with FFP and knowing that it wouldn't be a case. Simple. I mean, it's the fact that we still have, the likes of Jeff Hendricks still on our books is just amazing to me. It says it all, says Craig, when 2 keepers are on the bench. Yeah, absolutely. Gene's back. The Man City fan says our lawyers at Man City will ruin the Premier League and destroy FFP. Yeah, I hope. Listen, what would be nice is if the 2 owners got together and got the rest of the Premier League on board and then just destroyed it. Just absolutely destroyed it out of the water. That would be fantastic. But it's just a... Anyway, the final point that Eddie made in his press conference was about his 650th game as a manager. And he says, I have a little smile when I hear that number because it is a lot of games. It feels like it has gone by in a flash. It certainly doesn't feel like that many. I remember when I started in management, everyone talked about my age and how inexperienced I was. In the end, I got tired of those questions. So now it's the other way around. And you know what? He's done incredibly well, Eddie Howe. I mean, if you look at his career as a manager, like he says there, he was written off a lot of times about his age, saying he was too young and he had no experience and blah, blah, blah. I think Eddie's done really well. And I think... if anyone is completely frustrated now, it's him. Because he will know that he can't strengthen the squad at the minute. His hands are tied. The club's hands are tied. And he just has to ride this injury problem out for the rest of the season now. I don't think there's any choice in that. And I think that will be a major headache for Eddie Howe. Now, look, what I want to see, and I said this yesterday on the preview show for the game, I want to see us compete. Right, I'm not saying we can go out there and beat Man City tomorrow or anything like that. I want to see us compete. If we compete, then I'll be happy. I just want to see us give it all we've got, and I don't foresee any reason why that wouldn't happen. We've had a week off again. The players are fresh. We're ready to go. Forget the injuries tomorrow for the 90 minutes. Just go and try and get something from the game. If we don't, we don't. But I'll be disappointed if basically we go out there and just get overrun and then the heads drop. I just don't want to see that happen. Wolves F1, Paul and chat. Can Newcastle bounce back tomorrow after, to be fair, a horrible 7-8 weeks run? No. If I'm brutally honest, I don't think we're going to get anything from the game tomorrow. And I think if most Newcastle United fans are brutally honest with themselves, then that's the same thought. However, does that mean that I, don't want us to win? Absolutely not. I'd love us to win tomorrow. I'd love us to go out there with the injuries we've got and absolutely turn it on and shove it in the faces of the media. because we've seen it this morning. There's a lot of media out there trying to cause trouble for Newcastle United, linking our players with moves everywhere. Sod them. I want us to go out there and absolutely destroy Manchester City. And I know that probably won't happen, destroy them, but get something from the game and just shove it up their backsides. Not Man City's backsides, but the press. But I think Man City are, they're a different animal. A real different animal. And I think De Bruyne coming back is massive for them. But we have to be ready. We have to see what happens in the game. How many times have we seen, we've kind of written the lads off because of injuries, etc., and then they've gone out there and performed really well. It's happened numerous occasions. There's no reason we can't. In a way, the pressure's off us tomorrow because I don't think anybody is realistically expecting anything from the game because of our injuries and certainly the way we look to be lining up in midfield. But Eddie will have planned. He will have planned. He'll have worked hard in training with the lads, and we just have to hope the Man City have an off day, which isn't very often. But they have had some iffy results, without a shadow of a doubt. And that may be something that we can cling on to. That they haven't had the best results this season. They've fallen in certain games. That you probably would have expected them to get something out of, but it's mental. I'm just trying to see if there's any latest news coming through, but it's just mainly about the injuries and it is just mainly about the injuries. There's nothing really there, which I mean, to be fair, that doesn't surprise me at all. There is that kind of feeling there at the minute that things are just dead in the water with the transfer window. It's mental, absolutely mental. But there you go, guys. That is the morning news done and dusted, covering the press conference in FFP. Thank you so much to everybody for joining in this morning. I know it's very, very frustrating for us as Newcastle United fans, but we have to maintain one thing that has been given to us by the new ownership, and that is hope. We have to maintain hope because without hope, what's the point? What these owners and Eddie Howe have given us is ambition. And the progress side of that ambition looks like it's going to be extremely slow and extremely frustrating. But they have given us ambition and something that we didn't have under Mike Ashley, which is very, very different. We have a manager who wants to go out there. He's a winner. He wants to win every game. He does make mistakes from time to time, but he wants to win football games. He doesn't want to sit back, and hopefully we won't do that against Manchester City. We'll go out and give it a go. And as long as we can come out of that game after 90 minutes and say we did all we could, we gave it our best, then we'll see what the result is. It's as simple as that. But like I said, join us tonight for Face the Lads. Get yourself on. Talk to us about how you're feeling at the moment. Are you frustrated? Do you think we'll come good in the end with FFP and be able to bring players in? Or are you getting as frustrated as me that it's really now just hearing them three letters curdles your blood? But let us know. 7 o'clock tonight. The link will be on there around about 5 minutes before the show starts. Just click on the link. That'll bring you into the background on our show, and we'll bring you on one at a time for your say on that. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It's been a very interesting show this morning. A lot of anger, a lot of frustration, etc. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again at 7 o'clock tonight. In the meantime, have a great Friday, everybody. Take care.
Come back and check on some green.